What are you standing there for? Come closer.
I don't under... No. Welcome to the exclusion zone, stalkers. Have some hot breakfast sausage. Get your anti-radiation drugs at the ready. This is gonna be a big one. Well, this ought to be a good time for everybody, so buckle in because we've got plenty to go over this time. I've been playing Stalker for, oh god, it's been over 20 fucking years now. Jesus, dude, where is time going? Stalker is another one of those games that, even though I've played it over and over again, I can't seem to get tired of it. Every time I install and boot it up, I get excited about the depressing, dark, and in some places, shockingly quite beautiful world of Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. This is a game of themes, and the prominent theme here is everything's fucked up. Go. I'm not 100% sure when I got the game. As always, my memories are unreliable at best. I do know that I was playing it before I had kids and was married for the first time, but it was really close to around that time. I do remember that I had to upgrade my shitty computer just to play it. And believe me, it was barely an upgrade to begin with. I'm almost certain that the video card that I put into it was about a generation or two behind that was standard in that day. In fact, I recall when I put the graphics card in my PC, I snapped one of those capacitors or barrels or whatever the fuck those things are right off. And I just went ahead and ran the sumbitch. As far as I can remember, I never really had a problem with it. Well, the fucking thing didn't catch on fire anyway. I'm sure it was a halfway decent AMD card. It probably gave me some issues that I was just never really aware of and put two and two together. Like, oh, this thing keeps crashing on me. I don't think it was that capacitor that broke off and rolled behind my desk into oblivion. I do remember that I was playing it on a PC that I had actually built for myself for the first time in my life. Of course, it was hobbled together from old parts from a bunch of different PCs, like the fucking ship of Theseus. But that was pretty on brand for me back in those days, and I mean, it's still on brand for me now. In fact, the computer I'm recording this on at this very moment has a processor that's probably from 2015. I always had to beg, borrow, and steal for the computer parts I wanted, but when I got a working PC out of the deal, that felt much more rewarding. Honey? Honey? Yeah. Alright, what do we got here? Yeah.
Oh my god, why?
Christ!
Why do you always drag this shit back to our house?
Parts and stuff? I mean, where the fuck did you even come from? Like, did you spawn out of the fucking wall? And I just never wanted to build a computer out of new parts, because I couldn't fucking afford it. I'd rather make one appear out of nothingness, I suppose, like I'm some sort of techno Sanford and Son. Just drag that shit home and make the best of it you can. I'm pretty sure that my brother had given me the game through 100% legal means, and then hyped me up about it. He was always good about doing that. It's probably what made me want to upgrade my computer in the first place. I was mostly a console guy up until that point, which I will always hand it to the console people. They're great for ease of use. Just plug in and start playing. There's nothing wrong with that. I damn sure do have my issues when it comes to compatibility on PC, but only because I'm trying to play games that are, most of the time, older than most of my fucking coworkers. Let's start out with some fun stuff. So, Stalker is a Ukrainian game, and it is a Ukrainian game through and through. It does not give a single fuck about what you think is fair. In fact, in the beginning of its development process, if you drag your feet too long, somebody else in the game world would go ahead and finish the game for you. That's right, you heard me right. If you don't get straight to work, other NPCs would go ahead and make their way to the center of the Chernobyl zone and finish the game. An interesting concept, to say the least, and maybe a little batshit crazy too. Now that I think about it, I seem to have some sort of penchant for playing games that people would consider to be a little bit on the hard side. Don't get me wrong, I have no interest in Dark Souls, but like Stalker really seemed to click with me for some reason. I mean, hell, the beginning of the game starts out with you barely surviving a car crash caused by an anomaly in the zone. And to be upfront and honest about it, I don't know a lot about the story in the game. And right at the beginning, there's a message on your PDA. It says, "Kill this Strelok," which is definitely a super Eastern European sentence if I've ever heard one. I've picked up on some of the story beats, but most of it is still kind of a mystery to me. Maybe there's so many side quests and exploration that happens in between the main story that I just forget what it's about, and I get surprised when the story moves forward. There is plenty of dialogue, but it is another game where you're assaulted by story text rather than spoken dialogue. A lot of the spoken dialogue is actually in Russian or Ukrainian or whatever fucking language it is. I have no idea if Ukraine has a different language than Russia. I suppose Google knows all. The game can be a little buggy in terms of, well, just about everything. I've had story-breaking bugs where events just didn't occur, or doors that just remained locked. I've had momentary breaks where characters or monsters will block my path or glitch out and disappear altogether. Most of the time, a quick reload or loading a save game in a previous area can save my character from soft-lock purgatory. But if you wanted to, you could chalk these things up to anomalies in the zone just doing what they do. Fucking things up. Yeah. The game does have a few glitches. Nothing. Okay. Jesus Christ! Fucking criminelli. Those guys scared the bejesus out of me. The anomalies are half of the character of the game. They even equip you with rusty old bolts to throw into anomalies and test areas before you walk into them at the beginning of the game. Not that that's, foolproof. There are anomalies that will boil your brain, and you will die without ever seeing an anomaly. And from what I've pieced together from the story, it's the very anomalies why most stalkers have flocked to the zone. The anomalies create artifacts that have properties that defy physics, and in turn makes them extremely valuable for stalkers, the military, and scientists alike. And of course, this is the charred husk of Chernobyl, comrade. You will experience large areas of radiation, and you will need to take anti-radiation drugs, or just knock back some good old vodka and play your guitar around a campfire until the radiation subsides. You will be spending a lot of time in the inventory menu. You can't just step onto a med kit and get healing in-game. You have to open your inventory and use it from there. This can be a little bit frantic when you're in the middle of a firefight. The developers know, and the developers don't fucking care. It's all part of the life isn't fair mentality that seemed to be woven into the fabric of the game itself. And for some reason, this just gels with me. Like, you have a quick save button, motherfucker. Use it. What's the matter? You tried to assault the military installation and got shot and killed 10 times in a row? Tough fucking cookies, you stupid bastard. That's how real life is. And there are plenty more dangers in the zone, not just anomalies. You've got a whole menagerie of different kinds of mutated animals always trying to gnaw your head off, several different kind of factions vying for power and trying to shoot your head off, and zombies ready to eat your head off, and even tricky stairs and buildings that are ready to smash your head off. The zone is definitely alive and extremely pissed off all of the time. The atmosphere in the zone is full of dread and unsettling feels, which for some reason makes me feel relaxed and calm. I swear I'm not a psychopath. There is nothing like a post-apocalyptic world to make you feel better about being yourself. Like, oh man, the rent is late again. Well, at least I'm not in the fucking Chernobyl exclusion zone. It's like when you're driving home feeling sorry for yourself because you had a bad day and everything went wrong. And then you look over and you see a car on the side of the road burnt to a crisp, and then you think to yourself, maybe my day wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Anyway, the graphics in Stalker, they're pretty tip-top for the time as well. Everything in the environment gives you the feeling that you're in a charred, crisp corpse of the exclusion zone on the outskirts of Pripyat. The sense of abandon and desperate evacuation is definitely a feeling I get when I play the game, and that fits right in the atmosphere provided. The character models and textures definitely suit the game world well, and look nice and crisp on full settings. The lighting in-game isn't too shabby. The gray skies, warning lights, static lights around civilization, and thunderstorms that roll through sometimes add a whole lot of atmosphere. The NPC flashlights, they add a nice sense of other people in the world being afraid of what lurks in the darkness too. Like, I'm not the only one who's cowering in a corner afraid of fucking bloodsuckers. The abandoned cars, farms, factories, and government facilities give off a very depressing vibe that kind of always, rang with me. The feeling of life going on and then it was just dropped in an instant and people fled. Delightful. The weapons in-game do not fuck around and have some pretty realistic bullet physics. Your guns are dangerous, and the NPC's guns are dangerous, and it really adds to some tension and randomness of a firefight. And if your gun has a degraded condition, it can cause the weapon to jam right in the middle of the action, and you have to frantically clear the jam while you're looking for cover. Again, this is how it happens in the real world. So figure it out, dickhead. The zone is not going to hold your hand. I also have a bad habit of equipping a weapon without loading it. So I go to pull the trigger and hear nothing but a click. These best weapon, Jesus. Whoa! Oh, no ammo. No ammo. Oh, God. Oh, God. The weapon variety in-game is just wonderful. As usual, you start out with the standard plinking weapons that would more or less just piss a mutant off rather than hurt them, and then you work your way up to the heavy weapons. Stalker really fueled my passion for post-apocalyptic stories. Fallout 3 would be on the horizon when Stalker came out, and you can bet your sweet ass that I am going to do that one eventually, but I remember Mad Max.
Max is a cop, one of the best.
Where does they're out to get you? Scoot jockeys? Yeah, nomad trash. Well, I'll add it to my thread collection.
And Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome from my childhood, but never really made the connection that it was a post-apocalyptic movie. I don't know, I was young and dumb, and I suppose that I thought it was just a really shitty part of the world, and it was just a lawless people doing their lawless stuff. After that, I was able to peruse a few more post-apocalyptic movies like Hell Comes to Frogtown and Wheels of Fire, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the peak for me, of course, was 28 Days Later. It was released during my junior year of high school, and it really inspired me in terms of cinematography. I think that it was the first movie from across the pond that I had seen other than Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch. This was before Stalker came out, of course, but it allowed me to branch out and try to seek out these types of media. As I said, the story of Stalker is a bit on the fuzzy side for me, but from what I've gathered between the first game and the latest game that was released recently, I guess the best way to understand it is this. The Zone appeared after the horrific events of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant meltdown, and cause the zone to emerge. The zone is full of crazy anomalies, and they, in turn, produce strange artifacts that have properties that bend physics, and people can use them to resist radiation or become stronger, stuff like that. Then the scientists go in, and they start fiddling with things they don't understand and cannot comprehend, which most of the missions take place in underground abandoned research laboratories. Hope you enjoy a bit of hallway combat. So, a lot of the crazy experiments and some of the mind control shit later, we have the makings for a very dark and unsettling Eastern European mindfuck experience. I mean, I guess that I got a tenuous grasp on what the story of Stalker is, but I would like to take a deeper dive into what actually happened in the zone someday. I really do enjoy the gunplay in-game. Bullets can only fly so far, and they do have a drop-off, and the spread pattern of them is quite believable, if it is a little frustrating when you're in the middle of a firefight sometimes. Some might find the controls and general gameplay a bit stiff, but I seem to enjoy it a whole lot. Just a personal preference for me, I guess. It is, at its heart, just a traditional first-person shooter, but the developers mixed in quite a bit of really good RPG mechanics. No leveling or anything like that, but suit upgrades and weapon upgrades give you the feeling of RPG progression. And weight limit can get a little bit frustrating because you want to keep everything that you can get your hands on, but in the end, it of course makes sense. A person can only carry so much. The soundtrack is appropriately depressing, and most of it is subtle droning noises that make you feel uneasy. There are a few original songs here and there that are just regular music, some music for the bar, for example, some music for the end credits, but most of the music in-game is going to be depressing, metallic droning that completely fits the environments. However, if you find yourself by a campfire in friendly territory, you can be treated to some uplifting guitar music provided by an NPC playing while sitting cross-legged on the ground. Turns out there's more than a few maestros living in the zone. The menu music will always be with me. There's something about it that just permeates sadness, but also some of my strong memories are connected to that musical piece. When I hear it, I have a 1,000-yard stare and flashback to some of the crazy things that happened to me in-game. A comment out of pocket here real quick would be, recently I've seen a lot of remakes going on, and I would love to see Night Dive Studio take a big old chomp out of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl and see what they could do with it. This is, of course, a flight of fancy, because I don't think that would ever fucking happen, but it would be cool. I am aware of the existence of mods for the game, but never really investigated them. Aside from developer-created updates, I usually just leave my games alone. I've played through the game so many times that some part of my brain feels like it would be offended by changing it in any way. It's like watching your favorite movie, but it's the director's cut and you just cannot get past the little things that have been changed. If you're gonna play Stalker, keep your eyes open. There are 2 shit tons of things to discover scattered throughout the entire world. Most of it is gonna be enhanced weapons or enhanced armor, but sometimes you can discover things just hidden in a corner or on top of a car to make your game that much easier to play. I really do love that kind of gameplay. If you just look at everything, go everywhere, you can make it easier to get through to the end. The reward is less frustration and more exploration. And yes, Stalker can be quite frustrating to play. Not just because of the game-breaking bugs, but the base game itself can be rather hard for new players to pick up. But everything combines into this feeling where when you progress, you really did accomplish something. Again, that's kind of in the same vein of one of those god-awful Dark Souls games that for some reason I just cannot bring myself to play. Playing Dark Souls makes me feel like I'm experiencing a DMV visit over and over again, and I cannot escape game purgatory. Which is sad, because I really wanted to play The Surge, but I just could not get good. To actually make progress in that game feels like I'm dragging my tongue through chili pepper and Brillo pad trail covered in broken glass. Like, Dark Souls just fucking burns for me. So, There could always be a few suggestions that I could put forward to improve the overall experience. A dedicated grenade button is never something I'd turn down. A lot more voice acting would be great because it never hurts to keep my dyslexia out of the conversation. I can't recall, but I don't think that I've ever seen night vision in the zone that I'm aware of, but that would be pretty badass. So if you like a game with good old depressing dark atmosphere with a little radiation mixed in, and you can get past some of the game-breaking glitches, if you can learn the eccentricities of a few weapons and really decide what you need to survive in the zone, if finding your way through murderous anomaly field with rusty old bolts to guide you, I 100% recommend Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, the whole series really. If not, I get it. Just boot up Fallout and have a different kind of glitch fest. Thanks for coming and see you next time. Oh, before I go, feel free to drop a line on what other games you think I should play so that the YouTube algorithm thinks that I'm interacting with my audience. They'll love that. Till next time.